Hey all, welcome back to Neon's Movie Reviews. I'm Neon and this is my review channel. Today I am talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And this film is truly unlike anything I've seen before. Before I get into it, please, if you enjoy this content, definitely give this video a like. It really helps out the channel. And subscribe for more. But this film's absolutely amazing. I was truly unprepared for what this film was. I knew it was going to be good. I just saw it for the first time, and I know. I dreaded watching this film because of how well received it had been, and I also knew how well received certain other recent Spider-Man movies have been, and I was very scared that it was going to be more of my issues with some of these other Spider-Man films. I'll talk about those later. I did rewatch them recently, and I still have the same issues. So once the Summer of Nic Cage is over, you'll see some stuff on all the Spider-Man movies. But Into the Spider-Verse, it starts off, and already, going into this movie, I knew it was Phil Lord, Chris Miller's. It was their team that was behind it, so I knew it was going to be insane. I knew it was going to be a kind of Lego movie-ish, but I was not prepared for how much heart this movie was going to have. This film calls back to the Raimi films, but it doesn't at the same time. It talks about those films, but it could also just be talking about the comics. And yeah, I'm going to talk about brief spoilers in this, but the way they handle the different Peter Parkers in this world, or you have two Peter Parkers, and then you have all the different Spider-Men and women, and the way they handle each of them, they're so well done. Nick Cage, he plays Spider-Noir, which this is part of the Summer of Nic Cage. And he is the one that I feel gets shafted a bit. He doesn't get too much screen time or too much backstory, but everybody else, they're all really interesting. And they do this really cool thing. Whenever one of these characters is introduced, you get this little flashback where they show this quick montage going, depending on which character it is, or how far you are into the film. Determines how long or short of a segment this is, but goes through their backstory, kind of how they got to this point and who they are, history of them in the comics, kind of what this Spider-Man is, and then at the end of it, you get the comic getting dropped on the table, and it's just okay, and that's that hero, and you get that for all the different Spider-Men except Miles. And then at the very end, when Miles becomes Miles, they just throw the comic on there, and it's you're just like, oh, because all throughout the film you're like, oh okay, it's this funny little montage. It's this repeated gag throughout the film, and it's funny. And they introduce three spider characters all at once, and so they're like, here, and they rush through them, and it's like, and it's just okay. And then you get Miles, and when it happens for him, it's so empowering. That was probably my favorite moment in this film. But you got Kingpin, you got female Doc Ock, you got their Tombstone, you get all these cool villains, all these cool different Spider-Men, and at the heart of it, all of that is awesome, but Miles, not as Spider-Man, as Miles is the most interesting character, and his relationship with his dad is probably the best part of this film. Actually, his relationship with his dad and his uncle is the most interesting part of this film, and it's the heart of this movie. And it understands the core aspect of being Spider-Man, and that's the consequences of being Spider-Man. Yes, you can go out and you can save these people, but what do you have to sacrifice to do so? And this film runs with that, and it works so well. Doesn't go to the same extremes that like the Raimi films do, but it does at the same time. These choices don't affect Miles as harshly as they did like Raimi's Parker, but in the Parkers, in the two Peter Parkers that you get in this film, they're totally Raimi versions of Parker, and you see like, oh, he's the underdog, oh shit, you know, and it works really well. Amazing performances all around from these actors. They all gave amazing voice performances, and this film is truly a piece of art. It feels like you are watching a comic book explode onto the screen. And so much color, so much like, you know, text popping up on the screen to describe the sound effects, or you see the spider sense going off, like all this cool stuff that you only get in the comics, and the art styles and the different art styles that are done throughout the film, and how they blend with one another. It's really cool. Honestly, it's one of the, I would say, is probably the most impressed I've been with animation since Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, there hasn't been, or I guess Toy Story, you could throw Toy Story in there, but it's like Roger Rabbit, Toy Story, Spider-Verse. Like, that is the next landmark. And technically speaking, there's been amazing films, but they're using the same technology. This is one that innovated technology and art. But yeah, this film is just so impressive. I remember just watching it and just being floored by the littlest things. Prowler. He's one of the villains in this, and good God, he's one of the best fucking villains. When I heard that Prowler was going to be in it, I was just kind of like, okay. Like, I know the history with Miles' version of Spider-Man and Prowler, like, okay, I'm fine with that, but it's Prowler. He's not that interesting of a villain. And boy, did they make me eat my words. They gave him one of the best villain scores. Probably up there with First Class is Frankenstein's Monster for Magneto. And then also, what's it called? I'm blanking. I think it's the Electro Suite or something like that for Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's the Electro theme. That song is amazing. That score for Electro is fucking amazing. And this one, right up there with both of them, maybe even better than both of them. This was a really cool fucking score. And the way his animation was done was really cool. The score really helped make him feel menacing, because anytime you heard that score, he was coming in on screen. And so those two worked really well together. Kingpin was not that fleshed out, but he just had enough of a backstory and enough of emotional reasoning for his actions that I was kind of gave a shit about him. He wasn't just a villain. I understood why he was doing this. And as the story goes out, there's parts in it that I actually was like, oh shit. I was touched by what happened, or a little heartbroken by what happened. The female Doc Ock, didn't really know to element whatsoever, but she's really cool. visually very threatening, much in the same way that Prowler is. They did a really good job making her menacing, but she's just really cool to look at as well. And seeing a Doc Ock that's very lanky as opposed to kind of big and, larger, not overweight, but just, a bigger guy. Seeing a thinner feminine form with the way they did her tentacles were really cool. I thought it was really cool, and it created a very unique visual style that worked very well with the way everybody else was in this world. But yeah, you are not going to see a movie that feels more like a comic book, but don't think that's in a bad way. This feels like you are in a comic book. And it's not campy. It works completely. And I wish I could get more Spider-Man content like this. I know there's going to be Spider-Man or Spider-Verse sequels and spin-offs, but I am so worried about them because I know the reason this film was so good is because Sony didn't think it would be, and they didn't give it much money. They put all their money into what's it called? The Emoji Movie. That's where their minds are at. And we all know how that went. Emoji Movie crashed and burned. Into the Spider-Verse, huge giant success. And they were pretty much hands off with Spider-Verse because they didn't think it was worth it. They were just like, fine, whatever. So now that Spider-Verse is a proven property, I am very scared that they're going to be all hands-on. And Spider-Verse 2 and the spin-offs, I don't think are going to have the same magic. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but that's my big fear. So I'm going to truly treasure this film. I'm going to be very excited when they do release those films, but I'm going to be going in there just kind of like, oh boy, what did Avi screw this up, or is this gonna be good? But regardless, I'm gonna hold this film like close to my chest. This is a treasure of film. This is one of the best comic book superhero movies ever made. This is one of the best animated films ever made. And this is one of the more empowering films I've seen. This is, it hits those same strings that Shazam does, that the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy does. This is the story of an underdog. This is this kid becoming a man, and not in a like sexist gender way. No, like learning the rules of adulthood. What it means to be a man when you're just a boy. And yeah, it's really, really good. Highly recommend this. I give this a 10 out of 10. I really have no complaints with this movie. I mean, there's that minor complaint that Spider-Noir has, doesn't really have his moment. I have some nitpicky things with the spider robot characters, but they're nitpicks. I don't have problems with this film. I have some nitpicks. And yeah, this film is fucking amazing. But yeah, please go see this movie if you have not seen it. If were sleeping on it like I was, see this. Don't wait anymore. And if you have seen this, let me know what your favorite part was. My favorite part is probably, I want to say my favorite part in this movie is the scene where Miles is tied up in his apartment and his dad is on the other side trying to talk to him. That is my favorite part in this movie. Or the part where he's reading the Spider-Man comic and getting his powers at the same time, and his actions are mimicking the comics. Both of those parts were equally good for me. But yeah, this is part of the Summer of Nic Cage, as I mentioned. I've got about 30 Nic Cage movies I'm going to be or over 30 Nic Cage movies I'm going to be reviewing over the course of July and probably about a week into August. But yeah, stay safe all, and hope you stay safe. Stay safe all, and bye.